To get you out live now to Columbia, South Carolina, where the Attorney General Alan Wilson is just starting a press conference on human trafficking, their annual report talking about 2025's efforts. Let's listen in on Live Impact News.
The people represented behind me here today that make this report possible. Full disclaimer, this is, I think, roughly 114 pages long, and we do have a 2-page executive summary, but for those of you who out and really crawl into this issue and really dive deep into the statistics, then we can provide this to you. You can download this at our human trafficking website in a PDF. And for those of you who just want the movie trailer as opposed to the movie, you can download an executive summary of everything. I would like to begin, first off, by introducing the newly promoted director of the statewide Human Trafficking Task Force, Monique Garvin. If you have been active in our task force, you may have known Monique as our first deputy director of the task force, hand in glove with Catherine Moorhead, who turned the chapter, was with us for many years, had other opportunities to return home closer to her family in the Northeast. But Monique has been right there in the trenches the entire time. And this year, I was proud to be able to promote her to director of the State Human Trafficking Task Force. Monique is an amazing person. She has an outstanding history of service to children and families in South Carolina, both in the community as the deputy director of the task force, but beyond that. She has a dual master's in social work and public administration from the University of South Carolina, go Cox, and I am proud to formally introduce her to you today as our new director. Along with Monique's promotion to director, we have been able to do a number of things this year. You're going to hear about these a little bit later. We've completed the first round of certification evaluations for state human trafficking service providers. We've hosted the annual Human Trafficking Carolinas Conference in partnership with North Carolina, and we've updated the laws on the books to include morphed images and criminalizing revenge porn, which actually do play a role in the war on human trafficking. We could not have done this without the support of the General Assembly. The recurring funding we received several years ago has allowed us to hire additional staff. It has allowed us to better coordinate with regional task forces in each of the major areas of the state. It's allowed us to pay for resources to hire an outside certification program coordinator, provide the best possible multi-state conference, and has allowed us to partner with ETV to continue to improve and expand our prevention education and outreach efforts in the classrooms around the state, as well as every community in the state. Human trafficking awareness in South Carolina is finally bringing this crime into daily conversations. Beforehand, it was something that you saw in Hollywood movies and something that people didn't think to talk about. But we have shoved it into daily conversations, and we are shedding light on how we all can work together to protect, prevent, prosecute both sex and labor trafficking in South Carolina. We are now able to take everything the task force has been doing and raise it to the next level. In 2025, we were able to compare South Carolina specific numbers from the same data collected last year as we looked at numbers from state and federal courts, SLED, DSS, and DJJ. And you will hear more about those numbers momentarily. Our state task force data and research analyst, and I'll recognize him later, but Chris Brunswick is taking the next steps to determine needs of human trafficking to inform our direction, better understanding human trafficking around our state. You cannot adequately manage a problem until you adequately measure the problem, and that is why that is so important. It allows us to put lead on the target at hand. Labor and sex trafficking continue to present themselves in varying ways. The most consistent trend we saw in 2024 is the prevalence of minor victims. Given the complexities of human trafficking cases, the South Carolina Human Trafficking Task Force uses a multidisciplinary approach to strategically utilize the knowledge and strengths of all of its members. The task force is currently composed of 11 mandated member agencies around in state government, 2 appointed non-governmental organizations, as well as several federal organizations like the Department, the United States Attorney's Office, as well as our other federal law enforcement agencies who elect to partner with us, and they are very active. We also have 12 subcommittees under our state human trafficking. as well as 11 regional task force that work in the regions of state, but also in coordination with our state task force. The regional task forces are our boots on the ground in South Carolina's fight against human trafficking. In 2025, the Survivor Advisory Committee redesigned our mandated awareness posters. This new design was printed and distributed to the regional task forces around the state who made the effort to get them distributed in every community. Our regional task forces, in conjunction with our interfaith subcommittee, host and participate in a trunk or treat events in October to spread age and event appropriate awareness items and engage with our communities around South Carolina. I want to thank the sheriffs and the solicitors and other agencies for allowing their employees to commit time to the anti-human trafficking efforts in our state. Also, I think we have at least one solicitor here, David Stumbo. Thank you, Solicitor Stumbo. I know others would be here, but they were otherwise engaged, but I do want to thank Solicitor David Stumbo for standing up here. The people standing with me today are representatives of these groups from around the state. Thank you to all the members of the task force for your hard work and perseverance in 2025. Victims and survivors, defined by any specific characteristic, and represent numerous cultural backgrounds. Therefore, the task force continues to promote the development and implementation of trauma-informed, culturally sensitive, and comprehensive victim-centered approaches to human trafficking. I'd like to invite the director of the task force, Monique Garvin, with a special presentation on behalf of the governor's office.
The governor's office could not be with us here today. However, they sent a proclamation to honor Human Trafficking Awareness Month, and it reads, whereas human trafficking is a crime against humanity that negatively impacts millions of lives worldwide, including throughout the United States and South Carolina, and whereas victims of human trafficking, including children and adults, face unimaginable hardships, including the loss of their dignity, freedom, and basic rights through commercial sexual exploitation, debt bonding, involuntary servitude, forced labor, and other forms of exploitation. And whereas the state of South Carolina is committed to advocating for the well-being of all its residents by protecting the vulnerable through prevention education and awareness, as well as continued efforts to support victims, investigate cases, and prosecute traffickers. And whereas South Carolina is committed to partnering with regional and national allies to strengthen our efforts toward the elimination of human trafficking and its traumatic impact on our communities. And whereas the statewide Human Trafficking Task Force works to support the efforts of South Carolina stakeholders, including regional task forces and community advocates, and guide the strategic approach to combat this crime. And whereas this year's observance of Human Trafficking Awareness Month affirms South Carolina's commitment to individual freedoms and the elimination of human trafficking in all its oppressive forms. Now, therefore, I, Henry Dargan McMaster, Governor of the great state of South Carolina, do hereby proclaim January as 2026 as Human Trafficking Awareness Month throughout the state, and encourage all South Carolinians to recognize the vital role each person plays in the prevention of human trafficking, as well as the power of our collective efforts in ending this crime in our communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Monique, and thanks to the governor for their support and his office's support of this task force. The state task force received substantial funding from the General Assembly in 2022. Because of that funding, it provided us much-needed staff. And in 2025, we were better able to realize the lack of appropriate housing and resources around the state for victims and survivors in South Carolina. Every community in South Carolina needs an expansion of both community and residential programming for victims and survivors. It is the legislatively mandated role of this task force to certify programs that do provide services for minor adult victims. So you just can't have fly-by-the-night of organizations throwing up a halfway house or an organization saying that they provide services, they must now be certified by this task force. A list of the certified programs must be made available to the public and the court so they can make appropriate recommendations to services aligned with best practices. In 2025, the state task force launched South Carolina's Safe House certification program in partnership with the Safe House Project. This legislatively mandated initiative established a comprehensive, standard-driven approach to evaluating residential and non-residential anti-human trafficking organizations. South Carolina is the first state in the nation to require Safe House certification as part of the statewide service delivery framework. We're leading from the front of everyone up here that's so. Every organization must have each program they run individually evaluated. The programs include both adult and minor residential and community services.
All right, folks, you've been watching live a press conference out of South Carolina on human trafficking. The sound or feed pops in every once in a while. That is on not our end. So just pardon the little burps and hiccups here.
Present you with your certification. First, Doors to Freedom, Dorchester County, Minor Residential Program, Gold Certification Badge, Transitional Age Youth Program, Certification Badge. Do we have? Let me go ahead and give you congratulations.
Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
We're proud of you. Jasmine Road, Greenville County, Adult Long-Term Program, Bronze Certification. You're right there. Congratulations. Lighthouse for Life, Richland County, Community-Based Program, Gold Badge. Congratulations. The Formation Project, Charleston County, they have a community-based program which was receiving a gold certification badge, and a newly created transitional program which is emerging, and we just wanted to recognize them for that program. But they are a gold certification badge for the community-based program. Congratulations. And this is a point of personal privilege. Brooke is my former law clerk, so I like to see my...
Everything I know.
Everything you know, right? Yeah, no, we know that's not true.
Twice wherever she is.
Yes, yes. I'm so proud of seeing people who used to work in our office do great things for our state. So I would like to now transition to the Advocate of the Year Award. This is a really, really important award. Our next recognition is for someone who has used his voice in the state legislature to transform personal tragedy into dedicated advocacy. His legislative leadership in changing and updating state and federal laws protects victims from online exploitation and sextortion, both of which are increasingly linked to human trafficking here in South Carolina. At this time, I would ask Representative Brandon Guffey to join me at the podium, and I already had him here, but Brandon, step up. The task force recognizes all of the contributions you have made to consistently support the victims and survivors of this state by introducing and passing legislation to strengthen our laws and our rights for victims, specifically Gavin's Law. Your steadfast support in acknowledging today as we recognize you with the 2025 Advocate of the Year Award. This award is given at this press conference to unique individuals who contribute to the anti-human trafficking efforts in South Carolina. So in a clear glass, I've gone to these now. I'm going to read what this says. South Carolina Human Trafficking Task Force 2025 Advocate of the Year Award is presented to Representative Brandon Guffey for demonstrating profound commitment to human trafficking advocacy, representative through steadfast legislative impact. I want to present with great appreciation on behalf of the task force, all our adjacent membership, people of South Carolina, thank you for what you do as a leader in South Carolina. We appreciate you, we love you, and this is just a small token of our appreciation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Do you want to finish, or do you?
I'm just trying not to step on his tail, but go ahead.
And I won't take long. I did not have anything prepared, but I often say, God blessed me with is a big mouth. And since I lost my son, all I can do is run it. But the people standing behind me, this task force, they're the ones doing the work. The only thing I can do is advocate. But the further that I've went down this, and as much as I remember the first year coming in office, I had a friend come in and say, hey, we've really got to address human trafficking. And I was like, no. I'm focusing on sextortion. It's not my fight. But as I started getting through, and it didn't matter how far I tried to avoid it, the two are linked. Linked with exploitation, the exploitation linked with human trafficking. As we've gotten involved, we're even starting to see sextortion and human trafficking combined with girls being trafficked for videos on platforms just to raise money. So thank all of you, really, for your support. I'm honored to have this award. I never feel worthy, but I will continue running my big mouth till the day that I die, being an advocate. So thank you.